The whole question of value and how you express it and retain it is a vexed one. A bit like beauty, value is often said to be in the eye of the beholder. Just because I'm very impressed that I've made a brilliant new mousetrap doesn't necessarily mean that the marketplace is going to value that unless you can find the customers who've A, got mice running around, and B, the fact that they've got mice running around is causing them a problem, and a bigger problem than something else that they might have to spend money on more urgently. Maybe they can live with the mice. And then the fact that that mousetrap solves the problem in such a way that is particular to the kind of mice that are running around and their particular tastes in cheese. In other words, I think the mistake that a lot of companies, particularly the innovative companies that have a new technology or a new service or a new product, can often fall into is assuming that because their product is great, and of course they'll be impressed with it because they've spent time and money on new product development, that it necessarily solves the problems in the marketplace. And you can only find out if it's going to solve the problems in the marketplace and where your market for that is by getting close to the potential customers, by asking them the right sort of questions, understanding not just what the minute technical problems are, but how that's getting in the way of the business, what the implications are of a thing not working, of a particular e-commerce problem that they face. How's that really getting in the way of them building a better business, and how what you have is going to solve the problem of them not building a better business. And that's really when you start to get into understanding value and communicating that you understand value, and therefore making price less of an issue because value has suddenly moved its way up the chain of priorities. Yes, I do now need to spend some money on that problem, and it's more important than the thing somebody else is trying to sell me. And that's why I think, while the death of what's sometimes called relationship selling has been much overstated, and people have started talking about getting in and challenging the thinking of your customers or prospect, that's all very well, but you have to have the skills in order to build value, in order to find out what bothers them, find out how it affects the business, and then respond with some very specific benefit statements about how what you have got can help them. And some research we've done recently, globally in fact, starting in the UK with the Institute of Sales and Marketing Management, and then expanded to about 900 respondents globally, clearly showed that the most profitable companies sell in a way that gets underneath the skins of what the value is that your product is going to bring through developing these needs through questions, and only then offering some kind of challenge. The whole point is joint problem solving is the way to build value in the customer, and by building value in the customer, you tend to get more profitable outcomes. And I think the other side of this is not extending that value once you are in a relationship with the customer, whereby what you described as added value to a customer suddenly becomes to them just stuff they're getting for free. It's quite important that you capture that value. Every time you do something, every time you go a stage further, once you've established your value as an organization, as a supplier organization, you don't, because economic and competitive fortunes start to put you under pressure to think, I've got to give more and more stuff away. You start to value yourself, what it is you've got, and the ways in which you're helping your customer. They already value you, that's why they've bought your product and prioritized the problem you've shown them above all the others. Then you have to start making sure that you are not simply giving stuff away, you're getting something in return for every little bit of value that you're offering, whether that's cash, or the promise of later projects, or referrals to upstream and downstream parts of their own value chain. In some way, making sure that we don't simply give value away, we always capture that. Now, a lot of that comes down to the ways in which you not only convey value in these relationship building conversations that you have, but also when you come to encapsulate it in some kind of value proposition. Whether that value proposition is an informal chat as you walk from the car park with their chief executive, right through to sitting down with procurement and thrashing out what it is they're actually going to buy. Being able to build a value proposition that covers a number of key areas, not just what you do and what your products are, but what you do, what your products are, how in a generic sense they can help the marketplace, and if you know through your relationship building, how in a specific sense they're going to help that particular organization confront the particular problems they have. And encapsulating that in a way that all the people on your team who are interacting with all the people on their team can consistently articulate when they talk or write or correspond with the people on the buying side, whether they're in procurement or whether they're the end user of that product. And we looked at some research that we conducted recently globally among a great many companies, several hundred companies. We looked at value propositions that they had written, sometimes just quite short, generic level or specific level, depending on how much they knew about the particular opportunities ahead of them. And those that scored highest on our scale, i.e. they had all those constituent parts and they had particular benefit statements and payoffs to the individual parts of the organizations that they were going to be helping through the value that they could articulate. Those were the ones, those companies, surprise, surprise, that also had the highest tendency to profitable outcomes, i.e. the companies that were making the most money had the clearest idea of how to articulate the value they brought both to the marketplace and to individual customers in that marketplace at any given time. It's not a surprise, but it is a skill that has to be developed. Simply stating who you are and what you do, that's an advertising strapline perhaps, but it isn't a value proposition.